Now at 10, high winds in the 4 states leave behind damage. We'll visit those different areas. Plus, how NEO looks to address an issue with rain causing parts of campus to flood. And a no-hitter for Fort Scott in their home opener against Field Kinley. Highlights in sports.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Much of the Midwest is dealing with the aftermath of severe weather and the threat of more. The danger is past, but our immediate area still has some high wind threats. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Cale Chapman. We'll go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty with a first look at the weather.
Yeah, what a crazy day for us. Across the entire Central Plains, where over 30 tornadoes have touched down across the region, which is insane. And the wind was crazy. We had winds gusting to 60 for us today, which is as bad as, that's what triggers a severe thunderstorm warning. That's why we do have damage, trees, power lines down, all that wonderful stuff, shingles off the roof. 80 was our high, started at 60. The winds are calming a little bit. They're not near strong. We're getting gusts kind of 25 to 30, but the cold front's right here, so they're going to pick back up again as we go mainly after midnight for us tonight. Severe storms developed on top of us, raced off toward the east, and then still this mess is ongoing. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 current active tornado warnings just on this part of the screen. Of course, we're going to look at the weekend here in just a bit.
At least 3 people have died in Arkansas after Little Rock, Whiney, and other towns were hit by what's described as a catastrophic storm. 1 person was killed in Little Rock and 2 in Whiney. At least 2 tornadoes were confirmed. The Metropolitan Emergency Medical Services is estimating at least 600 injuries so far, but Mayor Frank Scott said only 24 people have been hospitalized. The CBS affiliate there, KTHV, says Little Rock police are transporting people to hospitals because there aren't enough ambulances to respond. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has declared a state of emergency and activated the National Guard. A man in Little Rock describes his experience.
Everything happened in like 5 seconds. It was like it came, boom. It was you hear a lot of commotion and stuff. Then it was just over. I go outside and it's crazy. It's people got blood all over their faces, and it's a lady named Nancy. She works at I met her at the beauty salon, and she had a pipe piercing through her leg. So I was trying to help her out and stuff, and I hope she's okay.
Nearly 70,000 houses are without power in the central Arkansas area. Damage is reported from Little Rock to as far as Jacksonville. Authorities in Logan County, Oklahoma evacuated residents today due to wildfires in the area. At least half a dozen structures have burned in far northeast Oklahoma City as wildfires broke out there. The winds have also caused significant power outages across central Oklahoma. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly issued a disaster emergency today due to the potential for wildfires and severe storms. This declaration allows the state to pre-position assets for a quicker response to any fires that may begin. Much of the state is in a red flag warning and high wind advisory, and we have scattered power outages in the area due to the high winds. In southeast Kansas, some areas are experiencing the aftermath of those high winds. In Pittsburgh, here are some downed power lines on 2nd and Locust Street. A lot of stoplights and houses in the city are reported without power. And in Fort Scott, some trees were knocked down in a residential area. In other parts, the city of fences were taken down as well. Missouri Governor Mike Parson today activated the Missouri State Emergency Operations Plan and Missouri National Guard. It's in response to the severe weather. Parts of Missouri are currently experiencing severe weather, and more is forecast throughout the evening. The governor's declaration will expire on April 30th. Carthage, Missouri, experiencing damage from high winds today. In this video, a tree fell in high winds coming down on a car. A mom and her son were inside of the car when the tree fell. The 2 were not injured. Garrison Avenue's road was blocked from a fallen tree as well. And in Joplin, high winds today knocked a tree in the 300 block of North Pearl in the city's North Heights neighborhood. A resident tells KOAM she heard a large crash when she was in the kitchen. No one was injured, and the only damage was to a corner of the roof. Some students who live in Harrell and Dobson Halls in northeastern Oklahoma A&M College in Miami, Oklahoma, have seen water leaking in their dorm rooms. KOAM's Carrie Worthen has more on this story.
It's happened every year, and I don't see any changes. INEO student Kayla Paulo moved into the dorms 3 years ago. Paula says there was water leaking in her room.
It started right after spring break. It rained here, and probably about a couple hours after that, it started leaking down the column of my room, right where they would have the mirror, and it leaked out the bottom. So I had to move everything off my desk.
Vice President of Student Affairs, Amy Ishmael, says there are a couple reasons for the leaking. They are in process of making improvements to the dorms.
One is the hailstorm that happened that brought very large size hail on March the 2nd. We had some damage to some roofs at that time. We've also had contractors on campus. We're replacing our air handling system as part of our improvements to the dorms. And in that, we've had some leakage, we believe, from that.
I would say they would fix the problem, but they don't fix the mold that comes from that. They don't really go there and clean everything up from that. They just kind of fix the leak.
Ishmael says the age of the buildings is a factor.
I believe they were built in the 1960s, and upkeep is difficult on old buildings. You've got a lot of different things that can go wrong, from pipes that are, not the best new material, to just materials on the roof that have worn out and different things like that. So, we're looking at everything and trying to make the best that we can.
INEO officials say work is underway to renovate the residence halls. Students are ready to see the problems fixed.
You're stressed out that it might happen while you're gone. It might ruin all the stuff in your room, might ruin anything on the floor, anything you have on your desk, and just having that security that's not going to happen, it's a huge stress relief.
In Miami, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
INEO officials say they have moved students from the rooms with leaks to different rooms without that problem. The Performance Hall opens its doors to the public tomorrow for their very first concert. Construction was necessary inside the Taylor Performance Hall a couple of years ago due to issues with a back wall, but Missouri Southern also decided to upgrade some equipment. The total cost for the project was $3.1 million. The university had about $600,000 in private donations, and the remaining $2.5 million came from the state.
This was one of the original facilities on campus. It was constructed in 1972, and it has been for the past 50 years the largest performance venue in Southwest Missouri. And so renovating it, bringing it up to modern standards and comfort was very important for us, not only for the university and its academic programs, but for the local community.
Hodson says some updates public can experience when stepping into the Performance Hall are new wider seats, carpeting, and wall coverings. The first performance of the opening event will start tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Next Tuesday, April 4th, the Diamond School District is running a no tax levy bond issue. If passed, the bond will pay for building a new early childhood center at its elementary school. Superintendent Keith White says the new early childhood center would allow the district to deal with the growing number of children in the district.
With our increased enrollment and almost 100 kids growth in the last 3 years, we're really finding the need for extra classrooms and more appropriate classroom size classes for our youngest kids. And so this is a big emphasis in the state of Missouri right now.
If passed, the district's debt service property tax is estimated to remain unchanged. Coming up, security preparations are underway in Manhattan.
Bradley Blackburn outside the courthouse in New York with what will happen when he surrenders himself and how other Republicans are now rushing to his defense.
Plus, a lawsuit in Missouri towards the investigation of gender-affirming care provided by Planned Parenthood. Authorities have filed formal charges against the suspect in Sunday's robbery of a Walmart in Coffeyville, Kansas. They've charged 63-year-old LeBurn Timmerman of Tiro, Kansas with aggravated robbery and being armed with a dangerous weapon. Police say he pulled out a gun, robbed the store clerk, and left with an undisclosed amount of cash. Authorities say he was arrested without incident. Missouri State Attorney General is investigating gender-affirming care provided by Planned Parenthood. That's according to a lawsuit filed by the St. Louis health provider. They say Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office demanded records from Planned Parenthood on March 14th as part of an investigation. It was for treatments provided to transgender youths at an unrelated St. Louis clinic run by Washington University. Planned Parenthood argues that its clinic has nothing to do with WashU's Transgender Center. They're trying to block access to its records and asked a judge to tell Bailey if he has no authority to investigate the clinic. Security preparations are underway in Lower Manhattan ahead of former President Trump's arraignment next week. Sources tell CBS News the grand jury voted to indict him on more than 24 accounts. Reporter Bradley Blackburn has the details on the upcoming legal proceedings.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender to authorities in New York on Tuesday, following his indictment by a Manhattan grand jury. There will be no plea deal, according to his attorney.
This is a case that would not have been brought against another individual in this country if his name wasn't Donald Trump.
CBS News has learned Trump will not be handcuffed, but will have his fingerprints and mugshot taken just before the arraignment. Sources say the indictment could include about 30 counts related to the alleged falsification of records involving hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels in 2016.
Paying hush money is not illegal. Falsifying business records is.
Columbia Law School professor John Coffey expects the trial to begin before the end of this year.
I suspect that Trump is going to try to postpone this trial until after the primaries. I think that will get a lot of resistance from the prosecution, and it denies the voters some fundamental information.
On Tuesday, more than 100 Secret Service agents will be working with other members of law enforcement as Trump travels here to the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse for the proceedings.
A lone wolf who is not bragging on social media that he's going to do this or going to do that. It's the unknown that's always a great concern.
Trump's possible primary opponents are strongly defending him.
The unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States for a campaign finance issue is an outrage.
Trump is expected to return to Mar-a-Lago after Tuesday's arraignment. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Trump spent part of today posting social media attacks against Democrats and the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Bragg shot back against Republicans who are claiming the investigation is politically motivated, calling it, quote, baseless and inflammatory. CBS News learned today that the White House inadvertently published the Social Security numbers of 1,900 White House visitors. The issue was found out after the January 6th Select Committee sent its final report and supporting materials to the U.S. Government Publishing Office. The numbers were from visitors who went to the White House in December of 2020. After the GOP was alerted to the mistake, it removed the file from public access and replaced it with a redacted version. A little later, businesses make their way to Fort Scott to show off their goods. We'll tell you why.
Plus, the winds are going to stick around tonight, and it looks like the weekend overall pretty good. We're going to check that out next. Well, it turned out to be a crazy weather day for us today. We had winds gusting all day long, near 60. We had some severe thunderstorms that popped up early during the afternoon hours. Now things are calming down a bit. It looks pretty good. Parking lot is full, indigo sky. It's Friday night, heading into the weekend. Clear skies out there right now, but we had those thunderstorms that blew up. Watch them right here. They went severe as they passed that Kansas-Missouri state line. We had several severe thunderstorm warnings. They pushed east, and then they became the huge severe weather outbreak that we have been watching all day long. Look at this huge storm system. Look at the snow on the backside, and we still have the severe weather ongoing. It's passed through Chicago. It's now Indianapolis to Cincinnati, down through western parts of Kentucky. Now where you see the red boxes, those are all still tornado warnings. You can see this extends through Memphis, southern Arkansas, into parts of Louisiana. There have been so many tornado warnings today, numerous injuries, deaths with all these tremendous severe weather outbreak that we have had throughout the daytime hours today, mainly just a hair east of us, but it started right on top of us, and thankfully we didn't get the big time severe weather that folks have had just off to the east, but more chances, of course, as we are at the beginning of severe weather season. All right, winds have calmed down just a bit over the past couple hours. Now, look up here. You can see the bright colors. That's where our cold front is. So once the front rolls through, then it gets windy again. But it's not going to be as bad. Winds gusting near 40 by morning, and then they slowly calm throughout the day. So by evening, it's actually going to be pretty good. We're going to have plenty of sunshine out there for us tomorrow. But you can see that cooler air. It's not cold, but it is cooler air. We're going to drop back near 40 later on tonight. Still mid to upper 50s to lower 60s out there right now. Let's step through the weekend. Pretty much clear skies, kind of chilly. We drop back near 40. By the noon hour, We should make it right around 50, and then once we get into the afternoon, I think most of us kind of in that 58 to 60 degree range. Watch the winds tomorrow night flop out of the south, so we warm up as we go into Sunday morning, sitting at 40, and then we go in well into the 60s, 65 to 70 for afternoon highs. But check this out. A little batch of thunderstorms scoot right across our southern counties by the time we head into Sunday evening. So all of your outdoor stuff, make sure you get done prior to about 4 o'clock on Sunday evening, but not everybody's going to be affected. Those aren't going to be strong or severe, which is good news. So here's your weekend forecast for you. 58 tomorrow, 70 on Sunday, those afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. But then we're going to focus on this. Here's the hot spot. This is Tuesday. Already a moderate risk for severe weather for the 4-state area. If this system slows down a bit, it shifts west. If it speeds up a little bit, it'll be similar to today, where most of it is just to our east. But we want to keep our eyes on this and see how it comes together as we go through the next couple days. 58 tomorrow, 70 on Sunday, near 80 on Monday, 80 on Tuesday. Showers, thunderstorms with that severe threat. Cool back down into the 50s and back into the 60s by next weekend.
Yeah, that's just an interesting weather week we've got ahead.
Yeah, I mean, spring around here is nuts.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we flipped the old in like a lion, out like a lamb.
I think we did too, yeah.
We're going out with like a lion.
Yeah,
right
we're
now.
definitely a lion.
All righty, well, thank you, Doug. Some folks set out to the Fort Scott for the annual Home, Sport, Farm, and Garden Show. It's a 2-day event where many area businesses come and showcase their goods and what they have to offer. There were also several prize drawings for items given out by the businesses. The event also had activities for the kids to get in on the fun.
Being able to meet so many people that enjoy coming out with a smile on their face, having some good food, winning some prizes, and speaking with the people that support, not just the people that come in, but support the radio station and basically the community.
The event will kick back off tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and last until 3 p.m. Still ahead, a big offensive day for Missouri Southern baseball in their series opener against Fort Hays State. And the Fort Scott Tigers play their home opener tonight against Field Kindley. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more after the break.
The Missouri Southern Lions are on a roll right now. Southern has won 6 straight games coming into the day. They're ranked 4th in the country, and they're tied for first place in the MIAA with a 14-3 league record. And this afternoon, the Lions open a 3-game series on the road against Fort Hays State. Check it out, they won big 13-3. Tragan Parker goes 3 for 5 with 3 home runs. Henry Kuziak 5 for 6 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas also in action tonight, kicking off a series on the road against Central Oklahoma. Definitely not a pitcher's duel here, but PSU wins 16-12. Nixon Brandon and Cade Clemens each go deep. Joe Hamilton 4 for 5 in the game with a double, a triple, and 3 RBIs. Pittsburgh State football hosts its annual Coaches Clinic today. And that clinic features coaches from all across the 4-state area presenting on different topics throughout the day. Now, the keynote speaker this morning was a familiar face. Tulane head coach and former Gorilla Willie Fritz spoke to the group of area coaches today. Now, Fritz was a defensive back at PSU from 1978 to 1981, and he just led Tulane to a 12-2 season and a Cotton Bowl win over USC. Now, here he is on coming back today and seeing all the changes at his former home.
This is outstanding. The indoor, I've been in there many times. It's unbelievable. The stadium is, from where it was when I played here to where it is now, is much, much different. And then you talk about the weight room and the meeting rooms and the offices. But you got to have great coaching. You got to have great players still. And Coach Wright did that this year with going 11-0 in the MIAA.
I think it's important for our guys that sit in the seats, that they do currently on our team, to hear from those guys that didn't get to play in this stadium like it is today, or practice in the indoor, or sit in those exact seats of the lecture hall, and to hear from the guys that really built this place and made it what it is today.
The Fort Scott Tigers picked up their first win of the season last night, beating Paola 11-1. And with that win, Fort Scott is 1-2 in their first 3 games of the spring. Tonight the Tigers play at home for the first time, hosting SEK rival Field Kinley. Fort Scott up 1 in the first. Cal Cousins through the left side. That allows Caden Young to score. Tigers go up 2-0. To the bottom of the third, now 3-0 Tigers. Bases loaded for Cedric Martin. He clears them. Grand slam for Martin to right. Fort Scott takes control of the game. They're up 7-0. That's plenty of run support for that guy. Starting pitcher Cody Wilson. He didn't even really need it. Strikeout here in the second. Then moving ahead to the fourth, another punch out for Wilson. Then again in the fifth. Cody Wilson, 5-inning no-hitter tonight. He gets 5 strikeouts. To the fifth, 9-0 Fort Scott. Lennox Van puts an end to it, into the gap, all the way to the fence. That's a 2-run triple for Van. That's the ball game. Fort Scott beats Field Kinley in their home opener 11-0 in 5 innings. I imagine, like you saw that grand slam, I think the wind caught that one. I think it was probably a problem to play baseball in that wind today.
Well, I'd say so, for sure. I mean, it's going to cause all kind of movement. I'd hate to be out in the outfield today.
No doubt.
All righty, well, thank you, Jacob. That's a look at sports. We'll be back with more after this. All right, well, Doug, how about that weather wrap for us?
Well, it's still going to be windy tonight and breezy for us tomorrow, but a pretty nice day. High temps into the upper 50s to near 60. A few showers late Sunday, southern counties, but a high temp of 70.
Not too bad.
No, overall, pretty good weekend.
Good day to get outside. Leonard, anything for sports this weekend?
Missouri Southern baseball tonight hit 8 home runs, tied a program record. They got 71 home runs this season. That's 15 more than the team with the second most, which is Pittsburgh State.
Crazy.
There you go. That's pretty stacked. I like it. All righty. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow. Let's make it a great evening.